Subscribe to my channel for more original stories. And now, let's begin this one. The rain was just beginning to fall as Gavin Rourke stepped off the airport shuttle. His military duffel slung over one shoulder, boots still caked in the red dust of Kandahar. He'd been gone for over a year, 15 months, deployed in Afghanistan. Working Black Ops missions so classified, he couldn't even list his location on letters home. But through every mission, every sleepless night, one thought kept him sane: coming home, back to his wife, Melanie, back to his golden retriever, Buck, back to the house with the porch swing he built the summer before he deployed back to normal. But normal was not what greeted him. There was no welcome sign on the front door, no yellow ribbon on the mailbox, no balloons, no Melanie. Instead, there was a full trash bin dragged to the curb and stuffed in it. Unmistakably was his uniform, still muddy from the last patrol, still carrying the patches, name tag, and the silver bar of a captain. He stood frozen. Then the door opened, and there she was, Maloney, wearing designer jeans and holding a mimosa like she was hosting brunch. Behind her, a man in a silk shirt and loafers leaned on the doorframe, holding Buck by the collar. Melanie didn't flinch, didn't smile, didn't cry, didn't even blink. Instead, she took a long sip and said, "You should have called." Gavin stared at her. "I was off-grid, you know that. I sent letters, emails. You didn't answer." "Oh, I answered," she smirked. "Just not to you." The man behind her chuckled. "You must be Gavin. I've heard, well, honestly, not much." Melanie waved a hand dismissively. "This is Chase. He lives here now." Gavin's jaw tightened. "Where's Buck's bed, his toys?" Chase grinned. "Tossed it last week. He's mine now." That was when Melanie reached beside the door and grabbed a large black trash bag. She tossed it at Gavin's feet. It split open. His medals, ribbons, letters from his father all inside. "You can take that too," she sneered. "I replaced you. Chase replaced you. You're not a husband, you're a headline." Chase added, "You seriously thought disappearing for a year would make you more lovable? Nah, you made it easy." Melanie held out divorce papers. "Sign them, get lost." Gavin looked down at the papers, then at the man standing in his doorway, then at Buck, who whined softly. He bent down, picked up his badge of honor from the trash, and stood. "I'm not going to argue," Gavin said quietly. "I've seen enough betrayal overseas. Didn't think I'd find it on my own doorstep." He turned, rain soaking through his shirt now, and walked slowly to his truck. The engine fired up, but he didn't drive off. Instead, he pulled out a phone. One that no one but 4 people on Earth had the number for. He hit a single contact. "Falcon." A gruff voice answered on the second ring. "Protocol 17. A pause, then, "Are you sure?" "They tossed the flag," Gavin replied. "It's time they learn who I was before I put on the uniform." What Chase and Melanie never knew. Gavin hadn't just been a deployed captain in a dusty desert. He had once commanded a Black Ops extraction team known as Echo 7, a ghost unit created for high-value recoveries, hostage rescues, and precision dismantling of dangerous power structures across the globe. Only his handler, codenamed Falcon, and 2 high-ranking generals knew the full extent of his files. Most of them redacted, even from top military brass. Before the uniform, Gavin had been a cyberghoster contractor who once found a backdoor into Iranian nuclear assets. The CIA scrubbed his real identity and gave him a new one: Captain Gavin Rourke. Melanie had married the surface of a man. She never asked about his past, never wondered how he paid off their mortgage in full, never asked why he had multiple passports tucked away. But now, she was about to find out. 12 hours later. Chase Whitman, real estate developer, influencer, son of the city's deputy mayor, walked into his downtown office like nothing had changed. He ordered his overpriced coffee, flirted with his assistant, and ignored for urgent voicemails marked priority. By noon, he was in a board meeting. When his phone buzzed, unknown caller, he ignored it. It rang again, and again, and again. Finally, he answered. The voice on the other end was modulated, synthetic, cold. Did you think he'd just disappear? Chase froze. Who is this? You moved into his home, slept in his bed, took his dog, but the one thing you shouldn't have touched, was his legacy. The call ended. Chase stood up, rattled. I need a break. Back at Melanie's house, she was lounging in a robe, sipping wine before noon, when her phone lit up with a notification, bank account access denied. She tried again. Another alert. Joint accounts frozen. Panicked, she dialed her financial advisor. They said there's a federal investigation, he whispered. Melanie, what did you do? Your name's flagged. What? On what grounds? He didn't answer. The line went dead. That evening, Gavin sat in a dark apartment overlooking the city skyline, flipping through a dossier thick with information, surveillance photos, bank statements, transaction logs, private messages between Chase and a developer named Rami Al-Nasir, name Gavin knew from an arms trafficking ring he once dismantled in Jordan. Falcon's voice crackled in his earbud. Ready for the next step? Let's cut the legs from under them, Gavin replied. The next morning, the Seattle Ledger released a bombshell story. Mayoral son implicated in foreign investment scandal. Tied to suspicious overseas accounts, photos, email leaks, account statements, even wiretap audio. It was all there. Melanie watched from her living room couch, face drained of color, as her new boyfriend's entire reputation unraveled, live on the 7 a.m. news. He stormed in moments later, slamming the door. What did you tell him? I didn't say anything, she stammered. I haven't even seen Gavin since he left. Well, he's everywhere, Chase barked. I've had 3 calls from legal counsel, 2 from City Hall, and the SEC just froze my company's assets. He turned toward the window. He's doing this. That soldier, freak, he's got someone helping him. Melanie's voice cracked. It's just Gavin. He was a soldier, nothing more. Chase turned slowly. No, I don't think that's true anymore. Back in a high-rise parking garage across town, a black van idled quietly. Inside, 3 people monitored live feeds of them, a former MI6 cryptologist, another ex-NSA, and the last, a scarred, silent man known only as Kilo. They weren't just watching Chase, they were recording every conversation, every text, every keystroke on his laptop. A full digital takedown. At the center of it all, Gavin.com/focused. Patient, he hadn't just activated a plan, he had initiated consequence. Architecture, the same psychological warfare strategy used on foreign warlords and domestic traders. Alike. 2 days later, Melanie received a hand-delivered envelope. No return address. Inside, a copy of her nursing license with a note, pending revocation for falsified medical leave. Her resignation letter to the hospital already, signed by HR. And a single photo of her entering a hotel room with Chase while still married. Another note scribbled across the back read, "Actions have outcomes." Meanwhile, Chase's phones were unusable, his accounts locked, credit destroyed. His Tesla, towed by mistake and then auctioned by clerical error. He tried to confront Gavin directly. He found him at a cafe on the edge of town, wearing jeans and a windbreaker, sipping black coffee like nothing had happened. You think you're clever? Chase hissed. Gavin didn't look up. No, I think. You're predictable. You're messing with the wrong guy. I was thinking the same thing. The night I found my uniform in your trash. Chase leaned closer. What do you want? Custody, peace, silence. You vanish from my children's lives, and you walk away with whatever pride you have left. And if I don't, Gavin finally looked up. You're already losing. The only choice you have left, is how loud it ends. 3 days before the custody hearing, Melanie sat in a lawyer's office, mascara smudged from crying fists, clenched on her lap. I want full custody, she snapped. That man is unstable. Dangerous. He's stalking me. The attorney, a polished man with greaseback hair and a plaque that read, Jared M. Castle. Family law nodded slowly. Well, Do you have proof? I don't need proof. He's ex-military, probably has PTSD, he's threatening us. Jared leaned back. We'd need something more solid than assumptions. Medical records, psychiatric evaluations, witness statements. Melanie paused, then smiled. I might know where to get that. That night, she dug through old files on Gavin's laptop, one she'd kept for herself when he left. She found encrypted folders labeled only with initials and military codes. Most wouldn't open, but one folder did. It contained scanned records from his pre-deployment physicals, with notes from a military psychologist, terms like emotional desensitization and elevated threat reactivity. Out of context, it was damning. Exactly what she needed. She printed the pages and called, Jared, we're going to win. But what Melanie didn't know was that the laptop Gavin had forgotten to take was elsewhere, in a secure facility below a bookstore in eastern Tacoma. Kilo was watching live footage from a hidden webcam buried in the laptop's casing. He turned to Gavin. She took the bait, copied the files, called the attorney, sent scans to his email. Gavin nodded, and the timestamp matches the file we embedded. Operation Mirror Trap is live. Falcon's voice came through. On speaker, once the court sees the origin of those documents, she's done. You sure you want to go this far? She went that far the moment she tried to use my service record against me. Gavin replied coldly. The next day, Melanie and Chase were celebrating their apparent win. Champagne on the rooftop of Chase's penthouse. They laughed, toasted, plotted. We'll walk into court, drop the psych file on the judge's desk, and Gavin won't get near those kids again, Melanie said, swirling her glass. Chase grinned. Then we file for support. Take the house, get his pension. Melanie smiled. He'll regret ever coming home. As the sun set behind the skyline, a drone hovered quietly outside their floor-to-ceiling windows, capturing every word. Streaming at live.2, Gavin. Custody hearing day, one judge, Diane Kessler, sat sternly at the bench. An iron-spined woman with decades of courtroom experience, Melanie's attorney presented their surprise exhibit. Your Honor, we submit this psychological evaluation that suggests Mr. Rourke exhibits emotional instability potentially harmful to minor children. The judge glanced at the papers. Where did you obtain this? Client's personal device, Jared answered. Shared marital property, Gavin stood. May I respond, Your Honor? Judge Kessler nodded. Proceed. Gavin handed her a flash drive. This contains metadata for the documents submitted, showing they were planted on a laptop I intentionally left behind. Additionally, it includes video footage of the opposing parties celebrating the setup and discussing how to exploit this courtroom. Judge Kessler inserted the drive into her monitor. Her expression darkened as she watched the rooftop celebration word for word. Timestamped, clear as day. When the clip ended, she looked up slowly. Ms. Rourke, Mr. Whitman. Are you under the impression this court is a game? Melanie stammered. That's out of context. No, it isn't. The judge snapped. And presenting altered or maliciously framed evidence is contempt of court. Mr. Cussell, I strongly suggest you advise your client to remain silent. The courtroom fell into stunned silence. Judge Kessler continued, Captain Rourke, your service to this country is noted in the court record. This court awards you full legal and physical custody of your children. Ms. Rourke is granted no visitation at this time. A re-evaluation may be considered in 1 year's time, pending psychological assessment and court-supervised parenting classes. Melanie collapsed into her chair, shaking. Chase cursed under his breath. But Gavin, he didn't smile, didn't gloat. He simply looked at the judge, nodded once, and said, Thank you. Outside the courthouse, Chase grabbed Gavin by the arm. This is a war now, you hear me? I will destroy you. Gavin looked him dead in the eye. You already lost. Is that a threat? It's not a threat, it's an assessment. He pulled his arm free and walked away, his children running to meet him at the bottom of the courthouse steps. That night, a series of automated emails launched, one to the Department of Justice, one to the SEC, one to the Washington State Bar Association. Each containing damning records, Chase's backdoor real estate deals with foreign investors, Melanie's prescription theft from the hospital, Jared Castle's involvement in submitting knowingly manipulated court evidence by Morning. Chase's assets were frozen. Melanie was under investigation by the state nursing board, and Jared's license was under administrative review. One final file was sent to a news outlet. Soldier's wife plots to frame war veteran in court on camera. It went viral in 6 hours. 3 weeks later, Chase Whitman sat alone in a half-empty penthouse, his designer furniture repossessed, his company under federal audit, and every call from his lawyer beginning with "This is bad." He scrolled through news headlines, each one worse than the last. Deputy mayor's son implicated in fraud scheme. Courtroom sting exposes divorce setup against decorated veteran. Nursing license suspended in custody case, scandal. His phone buzzed. Blocked caller. He didn't answer. The voicemail auto-played. This was never about revenge, Chase, it was about correction. You mistook loyalty for weakness. You mistook my silence for surrender. You mistook me for someone you could replay. He deleted the message. But it didn't matter. The consequences were already alive and moving. Melanie, meanwhile, was working night shifts at a roadside diner 3 counties over. She wore a name tag that said Mel and told co-workers she was starting fresh. But every time a customer looked at her a little too long, her stomach twisted. She knew what they were thinking. She'd seen the video, the articles, the Reddit threads. She was the woman who threw away a soldier's uniform, and the internet never forgets. Back at Gavin's home, ... The porch swing swayed gently as Gavin pushed it with one foot. Mia and Jonah, his twins, were inside making popcorn for movie night. Buck lay by his feet, tail wagging with every sound of the microwave. It had been peaceful, almost quiet, until now. His burner phone rang, one of the old ones, one that hadn't buzzed in years. He answered. Rourke, a voice said. It was Falcon. You did well, everything's clean. Every trace points to leaks, not hacks. Courts are satisfied. Agencies too. Gavin exhaled. Good. There was a pause. You know this won't stay buried forever, right? Someone's going to start connecting dots. I know, and you're okay with that. Gavin looked out at the setting sun. They took my family. I took their power. What happens next? I'll deal with it. Falcon's voice softened. You're not the same guy who came into Echo 7. No, Gavin said. I'm better. He hung up. Later that week, Judge Diane Kessler received a sealed envelope in her chambers. Inside was a handwritten note. Thank you for standing on principle. Not all wars are fought with bullets. Attached was a $50,000 donation receipt, made in her name to the Veterans Legal Defense Fund. The judge placed the note gently in her drawer and smiled. Final blow. Chase tried one last time to rally a defense. He scheduled a press conference outside City Hall to tell his side. His PR firm promised a distraction campaign, a rebranding, a shot at public sympathy. It lasted 2 minutes because, right before he stepped to the microphone, an anonymous Twitter account posted video footage of Chase screaming at Melanie in their penthouse. Footage from inside the apartment. Who is doing this to me? He roared on the screen. I swear, I will ruin him. The clip ended with a whisper. You already did. To yourself. The press conference was cancelled. His reputation, beyond repair, his future, erased. A month later, ... Gavin stood at the gates of Lakeside Elementary as the final bell rang. His kids ran toward him, lunchboxes swinging, faces beaming. Jonah held up his art project. I drew our family. Gavin smiled. Where's Buck? Mia pointed to the back seat. He's in the truck. They piled in, laughing, bickering like kids do. On the drive home, Jonah asked, Dad, are bad people gone now? Gavin didn't answer right away. Then he said, sometimes, bad people take themselves out. You just have to protect what matters until they do. Mia nodded. Can we get ice cream? Only if you don't tell, Buck, Gavin smirked. They laughed. For the first time in a long time, Gavin felt whole. Not because the pain was gone but because it no longer controlled him. He hadn't sought destruction. He had delivered accountability. He hadn't sought war, but he had finished it. With precision, with patience, without mercy. This is where our story ends. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to life. Thank you for watching Twist Diary.